3, 2, 1. Come on and slam and watch Sardonicast. Come on and slam if you want to watch Sardonicast. And I'm not going to keep going because we're going to get copyright claimed. Hey, everybody.
That was good.
This is Sardonicast.
Your energy was palpable. I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm Adam from your
It's a great song.
We'll talk more about
Yeah, it really
this.
got me pumped up when it started.
I'm with you, dude.
Yeah.
It's a good way to pump us up for Sardonicast. I'm Ralph from youtube.com/Ralph the Movie Maker.
And I'm Alex from IHG, and I'm certainly ready to slam.
Are you still sick, by the way?
No, I don't know what is happening right now. Like I've been fine all day long, and then literally as I come and sit down, my voice just sounds really weird. I keep trying to clear my throat.
You've been
This is pissing me
smoking
off.
too many cigars?
No, I haven't smoked anything today.
Okay. You got like a black mold problem in your home or something?
No, it's all
Black
good.
mold.
You guys got
You
any
never know.
vocal warm-up
Okay.
secrets you can share?
Drink some water.
La la lule lule lo.
Water. Yeah. Do
Yeah.
that.
La la
You can do,
lule
like, some
lule lo, the
vocal
classic.
things.
So we're coming up to the 2-year anniversary of Sardonicast, I think.
Yeah, crazy.
I don't know when the exact I guess. Yeah, I'm not gonna do the math, but we've had some crazy, cool fun, lots of laughs, lots of memes,
Yeah.
and I remember really early on in the first like 5 episodes or something, I said that I had never made a spelling mistake in my reviews. And the entire fucking community and subreddit was like, we're going to find it. You're full of shit. And nobody ever did. And it's been 2 years. Fuck you guys.
Cool.
Fuck you.
I
I told
thought you were going to say it, and I finally
told you.
made a mistake.
No. You haven't found one. And if you ever find one, it's going to be from a video I didn't edit. I told you.
On that
You're
note-
wrong.
To be sentimental, I've loved doing this, and I feel like I've learned a lot doing it.
Same,
I've
yeah,
watched a lot of
it's-
cool movies that I wouldn't have checked out otherwise.
Yeah, me too.
And many of them have
Exactly,
made
yeah.
like my favorite films lists, like Fantastic Planet or
Yes.
Yeah, same.
I guess that's it. Like I could list a few.
It's great to have an excuse to watch them, yeah.
Yeah, we've watched some interesting films, even if they're fucking awful.
Oh, yeah.
They're memorable.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I appreciate the both of you. A very
Yeah.
wholesome moment.
And there's plenty of more films we need to cover. So
Yeah, I can't
So
wait to
many.
hear more recommendations from you guys and also introduce you guys to some other movies.
yeah,
Yeah.
Speaking of wholesome, great movies, we all watched the new Star Wars.
yeah, very wholesome
Yeah,
because
that
Disney
wholesome
made it.
movie.
Yeah, you can tell it really came from someone's heart.
Yeah, it's good for the family because you can just turn it on and not pay attention, and it's not challenging or like suspenseful or anything. It's like it was like a theme park ride. It was like Star Tours,
Was it?
right? Yes,
Star
It was like-
Tours.
It was like a lot of references to the films and a lot of characters, but it didn't like serve a purpose at the end, and it didn't
Yeah,
feel like
fan
there was an
service the movie.
overarching story throughout this whole thing.
But did you watch the Pinata cut, though? Because that was kind of an improvement. I was able to watch the Pinata cut.
What's the pinata cut?
It
I
was
haven't
the-
even heard of this.
It's the cut of the movie where a pinata comes from the center of the screen and tells you to go to a Chinese gambling website. It's like, it happens several times in the movie. It's part of like
Jesus.
the character's visions. But I think it actually adds to the overall film. I was more entertained in general.
I'll have to go on Wikipedia to read up about all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the opening crawl
interesting.
text was also in like a foreign alien language. It looked like Italian, but I'm pretty sure it was alien. So
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Ralph is the only one, I guess, who hasn't got... Have you put your opinions out there, Ralph, aside
Not
from
really.
like a letterbox review?
Yeah, I gave my rating. I don't like any of these because it's like Disney manufactured. Like I look at them the same way as I look the Aladdin movies or like the Marvel movies or like
a good way
anything
to look
else.
at them.
It's all, yeah.
Comes from the
It's
same
not.
place.
It doesn't feel genuine to me. And like I'm not going to say George Lucas is a genius auteur or anything, but he had a vision for what this was, and he wanted to make something. And he wanted to make a lot of money in marketing, and he succeeded. And these are like there's just a lot of stuff that I don't know. I don't even know what to make of it because it's so fast-paced and confusing.
By the time this movie happened, like, if it wasn't clear already, it was just so obvious that they had no fucking idea what they were going to do with this three movies, and they started already somehow. And it was like two directors arguing over what the series should be. Just like back and forth, like rewriting, like, no, this is what Star Wars should be. Like, okay, maybe you should have come to an understanding before production started.
Last Jedi kind of feels out of place with these other two.
Mm.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no consistency between this trilogy. And the more you think about it now that we've had it all completed, there's nothing to it. It is like just a skeleton of what it should be based on just iconography that is recognizable and like merchandising opportunities. It's really lame and sad.
Yeah, and when you have something where the prerequisite is that it's a trilogy, it's you almost have this thing in the back of your mind where it's like, okay, well, even if the first couple films aren't that great or something, then perhaps there'll be some sort of payoff that'll make it all worth it. Perhaps this will be tied up in a neat little package in a nice bow or something. Maybe there'll be a twist that'll explain some of the things I was confused about or didn't make sense or whatever. And, to some degree, there kind of was. I guess spoilers for the the Rise of the Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker.
Is it the worst Star Wars title?
Yeah. Whenever I see ROTS
I think it might be
to
the worst
abbreviate
one.
it, I'm thinking Revenge of Sith to the Sith or something.
Attack of the Clones isn't great, but Revenge of the Sith. No,
Phantom
wait, was it called?
I don't know. Rise of Skywalker.
Sorry.
Rise of Skywalker. Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker is stupid, especially now we're in spoilers. How that title is justified.
Oh yeah,
the ending scene.
She's a Palpatine now. And then she stole the name from Skywalker because she's like, you're cooler.
It could have been called Rise of Palpatine. Could have been. Because she is a Palpatine. He's a Palpatine.
We're all Palpatines.
Emperor Palpatine is in it for some reason. And he's just a replacement for Snoke, even though Rian Johnson got rid of him in the last movie.
Yeah.
Like,
it's really
he just
funny.
filled in that same role. Yeah.
They keep just having to like undo the other person's work. It's really funny.
Yeah.
like how Rose was barely in the movie.
That was very weird. Because like Rose was a major part of Last Jedi. In this movie, she's in it for literally something like 70 seconds. Like 70 to 80 seconds. Like, I'm not saying I enjoyed her in Last Jedi, but you set up this character. I want to see her pay off. I want to see her do something in this movie, because it's like, maybe I'll like her now, because it's all worth it to see her do something, like, satisfying.
She was supposed to romance Finn or something, right? Like, that was the implication.
Yeah, but then Finn gives her a pat on the back.
End,
yeah, but it's just so like, they listen to people on Twitter and Reddit, and they change the movie for them. And now Rose is like, it's so reactionary and not like they're actually telling a story. And that's why all these characters kind of feel meandering.
I can't tell if it's like a JJ thing or a Disney thing, because in all these other Disney remakes, they're also very reactionary, or they're also very trying to address their own criticisms in a way. You see that with the Aladdin, you see that with The Lion King.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna give Jasmine a song and stuff like that, or just throw away lines where it's like, oh, what? I just said farted. You're gonna stop me, Timon? No. Why would I? It's just like, shut up. Like, it doesn't matter. Stop referencing the other films and just being like, ooh, we've heard your criticisms. Like, just be
There's
a movie.
There's a lot of lines like that in this. A lot of addressing, like, why don't they do this instead? Why don't we just do what General Holdo did and drive the Star Destroyer through the thing? It's like, it's just a quick thing. Because they have to explain it quick for Reddit.
It's oddly self-referential to the point where it's distracting, and it doesn't feel like a movie anymore. It just feels like a corporation talking to you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, as bad as the prequels are, and you were kind of saying the same thing, Ralph, at least it was George Lucas's fuck up and not Disney's fuck up. There's something just much more likable about one person's vision who's been there from the beginning instead of this like megacorp taking it and just...
This is Orwellian almost. This is like what THX is. This is like what THX makes as a film. That's why I'm so put off by it.
Is there anything we liked about it?
Sure. I think there's plenty of things I liked about
Pinatas.
it. The visual
For sure.
effects, they're not inspired at all. It's like all the old stuff, Star Destroyers, whatever. But all the stuff looked great. It did. It looked pretty real.
Mine seemed pretty low res. I don't know. I watched a different.
It had the
cut, though.
pinata look.
Yeah.
Was
yeah.
the pinata?
It's just like, I think I said it in my video on the Rise of Skywalker, how like puppets aren't what Star Wars is. Like there's more to it, you know? Like puppets are essential to that like style and the presentation of that universe, but that's all they seem to think that makes a Star Wars movie. Is like, let's just have these packed scenes of loads of creatures running around and look how cute it is, and it's so distracting, and it's like
They're
you're kind of missing the
toys.
point. Like there's no heart to it. Yeah, exactly. And they introduce so many new characters when they've already got so much on the palette already. Like that, how many new like creatures and characters do they introduce just in this one movie to just not develop and throw the previous ones aside? It's such a strange choice.
But they didn't throw them aside because Chewie got his award. See, they listened. Chewie got the medal. They
Yeah,
listened
there were a
to
lot
the
of weird
fans.
fan service moments.
That's what's important, guys.
Yeah.
They listen.
I didn't even like the music. Like I normally love John Williams' like Star Wars music, but I didn't even notice it really.
It wasn't memorable. I didn't notice it at all. I think everybody just
which
gave
is such
up.
a shame for me.
Because it's like when you have this, when you have the third in the trilogy, it's like you don't need to make a good movie to convince people to watch the next one again. You can just fuck it up and be like, oops, we're
suppose.
done. Sorry, tricked you.
There were no performances I thought were like stand out either.
Yeah.
I thought Adam Driver was I thought he was the best one, but even him.
Well, because everything that he does is kind of stupid. you
Yeah,
know?
they were just
it's,
weird
it's all
dramatic
based around something so
scenes.
stupid.
There was like the scene where Chewbacca's supposed to die, where they like knock down the spaceship, but somehow he's in another spaceship that left at the same time. I don't know what the fuck
That was funny.
But yeah, it was funny because of how confusing and like it just didn't make any sense.
I like how quickly after the fact they revealed that Chewie was still alive.
Yeah, it
They're
was like
like,
the scene
don't worry,
after.
guys.
They didn't even drag it out at
There's
all.
no consequences here. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, the film has no stakes.
Yeah.
Like
On to the next
the
thing.
Also a
villain
big
is just
issue.
like, yeah, it's like, oh shit, we've written ourselves in such a corner. Let's just bring back stuff everyone knows. The Emperor, Star Destroyers.
You can bring people back from the dead now too. So there's like extra no stakes.
Yeah, why should I care about anything now when you can just revive people?
Yeah. But you used up your life force. So then it's like, oops, you're not dead, I'm dead. They should have kept that going for like 10 minutes of like just the two of them reviving each other. They should have just kept that going
just
forever.
never ends.
Yeah. Just make like a endless GIF loop.
Of course, Carrie Fisher died before the film was completed or even started. So they've repurposed old footage of her.
Yeah. It was awkward.
And it leads to these really strangely kind of retroactively written scenes where they create them based around the dialogue they have available already. And it
just really vague
I honestly
quotes.
can't tell. Is it? Do we really notice it because we know that she's dead?
The scenes would seem awkward regardless. Because what she says
Yeah.
is just so
Yeah.
vague. Like, you did a good job and we're proud of you, or something like that. Like, just throwing that into a scene. It's like, okay. It seemed awkward either way, honestly.
That's why when she passed away in the movie, it didn't have that emotional punch it should have had for me.
No.
It was just confusing.
Yeah, they really guessed wrong out of, like,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
three
they really
characters from the old one that could have died in any
Although
order.
Harrison Ford came back for this, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
did Mark Hamill. I thought the Harrison Ford scene, that was actually the best scene in the movie for me.
I don't remember
I
what
think
it was.
I'd agree.
Even.
It's the only one with some kind of emotional resonance behind it.
Yeah. It was like some resolution I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting
It was a
them to have
surprise that wasn't like groan worthy. God, excuse
Yeah, and
me.
Harrison Ford wasn't like really bad.
Yeah, he looked
Yeah.
like he actually wanted to be there.
Yeah, he did a good job. He's in that new movie, Call of the Wild, with that, it's like a CGI dog.
Oh,
Did you guys see the trailer for
Sounds
that?
great.
no,
You should
I
totally
didn't
check
see
that
it.
out. Yeah.
The Wild? Wasn't there already a
It's like
movie
Call
called
of the
Wild?
like Call of the Wild or something.
Call of the Wild.
And he's like,
Okay.
my life sucked until I met Buck. And then he goes out in the wilderness with his dog. It looks so good. Let's get back on topic. Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, Star Wars.
Yeah.
I don't know. with just how much Mark Hamill was in the movie, it's like, I don't know, can anybody just show back up as a ghost? Does Kylo Ren's death matter anymore? Why doesn't he just say hi, just pop over, be like, hey, whatever?
Oh yeah,
I'm
I
here.
think he can.
Yeah,
I'm a
'cause he
ghost man.
disappears right at the end.
Because the Force Ghosts can also touch things in the environment now. Like they can catch lightsabers and like interact.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, so it's not that bad when you die then, really. You actually,
I didn't
No
mind the
one's
Force
ever
Ghost
really gone.
stuff much.
I
Yeah.
really did with the Luke moment because it's such a. It didn't even feel like a scene for the characters in the movie. It was a scene for the fans who were angry at The Last Jedi.
Oh well, the part where he catches the lightsaber, yeah.
Yeah.
But JJ said that was supposed to show how much the character has grown. It was supposed to be like a payoff moment.
It's just
Right.
annoying now.
Yeah, but when like he threw it in Last Jedi, it was like a comedy moment.
Mm.
That was the weird thing about that part in Last Jedi. It wasn't that he like threw the lightsaber away. It was like out of
That was a
Seinfeld
mistake.
or something.
It was just the execution of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Like him doing that could have been okay if it was just executed in a more thoughtful way.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's Star Wars.
It's Star Wars. I can tell
Star
you're
Wars.
riveted by Star Wars.
I really checked out though for the final kind of battle sequence. Like I
Yeah.
thought it was so fucking boring. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe like the schlock it became. It
It's
is
pretty
just
schlocky.
Aquaman garbage. Like just two armies just flying towards each other. It's like the same as like Attack of the Clones at the end. It's just like just two armies fighting that you have no real stakes or investment in. You're like, what? They're riding horses on a like Star Destroyer.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
what the fuck is happening? Why? The Emperor's shooting lightning like miles in the air, and it's like it's going everywhere, and there's just thousands of Star Destroyers, and you can't tell what the fuck's going on. It's just lame.
Palpatine could avoid a lot of his own destruction if he just turned off his lightning bolts, because they get directed back at him a lot. And if he just like turned off his lightning bolts, he wouldn't kill himself.
Yeah, you could just push people with the Force.
Yeah.
These are nitpicking things, though. The
Oh.
emotional core of the movie is we're nitpicking and biased, but the emotional core of the movie isn't there. There's just nothing deeper going on in it. Like that first Force Awakens is like a remake of A New Hope, basically,
Mhm.
or like a reimagining of it. I like that movie. I actually enjoy it compared to this because at least it has like all the characters serve a purpose in it, and it has a story that's paced well because it's just A
Yeah.
New Hope, you know. And this is like we're gonna have 1,000 Star Destroyers with the Death Star laser. It's so boring.
Yeah.
Like it's so much more interesting to have evil person or like evil encapsulated in this one like ball, like the Death Star. Like what's more interesting, fighting one fucking thing or 1,000 little things with like a laser on it? It's so boring.
It was the moment Star Wars became Fast and Furious for me.
Nice.
Like
Kind of.
there's just no like logic to anything, and it's just about set pieces and stupid fan service moments. Like that's all it is. There's nothing to it.
And not like the old Star Wars movies are high art because they're
No.
like fantasy, kind of silly, but they have
Pulpy serial
they have that
storytelling.
heart. Yeah, they have that story that they want to tell. And they have those likable characters, and most of them serve a function in the story for all of it.
Yeah, I guess if it was anything different, if it was literally just about the special effects and there was no heart to the story, then, you know, Star Wars wouldn't have been such a cultural impact. It would have been more or less like another
Exactly.
Tron or something.
Mm-hmm.
Tron is really bad.
Yeah, it's not good.
John,
It is bad.
yeah, John Boyega. Like I was really looking forward to seeing what he was going to do in this series, like 6 years ago, whenever this started. And
Mhm.
now it's like I was so disappointed. He barely did anything.
Yeah, and the same with Poe as well. Like all the
Yeah, same with
I don't
Poe.
blame any of the actors for this.
No,
you know, like,
of course not.
They could just
I think they did the best they could with this.
exactly. Yeah, it's just the
Yeah.
material, like the story. There's nothing. It is just a complete retread and remake, basically, at the end of it all, of the same like ideas as the original.
Yeah. I think part of the reason why episode 7 doesn't leave as sour of a taste in my mouth as the next two is because there is this kind of implication when you're watching the first out of the trilogy, even if they're playing it safe to begin with, it's like, okay, this is their jumping off point. And there's several things about the way that they started this universe where it did seem kind of hopeful. They're, using all of these like practical little alien puppets and stuff like that. Feels like they really got like the design of the universe down to some extent, and the music's still there. And it was like, okay, well, if you have these ingredients and you jump off from this point, there's a lot of cool things that could happen. It seemed promising in a way, and then they just didn't really do anything with it. They just kind of dicked around, fucked everything up.
Yeah. Ryan Johnson really messed everything up.
See, I don't fully blame him.
Okay.
I think the more I think about it, I actually blame The Force Awakens more, simply because of the point in which they decided to start the story. Like it's such a retread of New Hope that they really had
but what
no
else were they going to
choice.
do? It's Disney they bought Star Wars, and it's the first Star Wars movie. All they could do is just retread all the same shit. So I don't blame them.
But, it doesn't make it any better. Like they're
No, it doesn't. You're
like,
right. You're right. I'm just saying, for me.
Like of course that's what was going to happen, but yeah.
I blame them, but I wouldn't expect anything different.
Right. I
But
get it.
I kind of do.
You got to make money.
Oh yeah,
I kind of do because like because like Ralph earlier you said you put it in the same kind of category as like Marvel and these like Aladdin and Lion King remakes, but
I do like Marvel a bit better, but
yeah, I think
we'll get into it.
I think Marvel like it has taken the place of what Star Wars was, if you get what I mean.
Culturally,
like it's pulpy, silly storytelling with like a heart behind it and a consistency. I think it's the
especially
consistency
like Guardians of
people
the
attach themselves to.
Galaxy. That specifically, that's literally like the Star Wars. A bunch of rogue guys go out in space and get into like sci-fi adventures.
Yeah.
It's very Star Wars, and Thor tried to mimic that.
It's kind of irrelevant now in terms of like that. Without someone like an ideas man like George Lucas there to come up with the crazy ideas for people to channel into these movies, there really is nothing to it, Like it is just there isn't much going on.
It's a lot of people too. It's like all those design people who worked on those old Star Wars movies, the VFX team. Like I don't even know if they're working on these anymore. I don't know if it's the same people or not.
Yeah, I mean, there's a silver lining to this because at the end of the day, Disney made it now okay for me to say that I don't like Star Wars. Before that, it was
that's true.
It was wrong. And everybody would get mad, but now I can say I don't like Star Wars and nobody gives a shit. I can watch a fucking cam rip of the new movie and nobody even cares. Name one other movie that could have happened with, where I review a cam rip and people wouldn't give a shit. I don't think there's a single other movie.
Cats,
I think it was the only movie.
Cats.
Lion King.
Thing is, though, I don't think it's that hard to really make Star Wars fans happy, because in the last year we saw two things that have overall made a lot of the fan base pleased. Like people love The Mandalorian and that Star Wars game that came out. Like they're far better than anything in these new movies because they are like a smaller scale and they're able to play around in the universe with like a different genre or like tone that doesn't have to be this world-ending like galactic conflict type thing, and it's more just using the setting to tell these more smaller stories.
Yeah,
which makes it so annoying to me because it's like, how can everyone see it apart from the company that makes billions off the license? Like it's just
that seems to be a recurring theme this decade. I mean, well, I guess forever now. It's a new decade.
Like they don't get it.
Time,
They don't understand. They don't know what people want, really. They think they do, and they do all these like focus tests, and they read all like Reddit and all this shit, and they're like, "Oh, let's just form it around what we think people want." When it's like, no, you kind of have to also bring some kind of focus and something new, some vision to it.
Well, when you say something new, it's like people clearly want to see some risks taken, but that in of itself is kind of like an oxymoron when you're looking at it through the lens of this company that is trying to make money.
But like,
right?
They let Ryan Johnson make his own movie. They gave him like a weird amount of freedom. It comes across like, anyway, I don't know, obviously.
No one really
behind the
knows,
scenes,
but that's what it seems like for sure. Because it seems like
like
contradictory.
it feels like a Ryan Johnson movie.
There
in a
are
lot of
things
ways.
that don't feel like Like the porgs, I don't know. I feel like Disney forced them to put shit like that in there.
Oh yeah, shit like that, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was definitely an Emperor Palpatine controlling certain aspects of Ryan Johnson.
Well, do you think they gave JJ an amount of control? And he
I don't
chose
know.
to make the movie like this?
That's why I said I'm not sure if it's a Disney thing or a JJ thing when we're talking about them,
Yeah.
like, kind of addressing the criticisms of the other movies. Because Disney does that all the time. So you don't really know.
Like I said, these are not high art. I'm not looking for a lot. I want, like, entertaining science fiction films that are fun.
Science
and, like,
fantasy,
Force
even,
Awakens,
like-
science fantasy, yeah, more specifically. But, like, just Force Awakens was that for me, at least. And Last Jedi and this one, Rise of Skywalker, it's so not that. It's so dull and, like, confusing.
Would you agree with me that in this trilogy they get progressively worse as each one goes along?
I don't know.
No.
No?
Yeah.
Last Jedi's worse than Skywalker?
Well, what's your favorite one?
I think Last Jedi is the most.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. Let me explain.
Okay.
I think out of these three movies, the only one anyone's ever going to really talk about is The Last Jedi. Like, it's the one that people are going to
That's
argue
true.
about and debate about and discuss. Like, ain't nobody talking about the other movies. There's nothing. There's nothing to it.
Right.
It's the only one that has something to me, because it is kind of like George Lucas's fuck ups in the prequels. It's kind of like that to me, where it's one person, or it comes across, as one.
Yeah, the film has a
vision
voice.
more.
Ryan Johnson
Yeah.
really has a voice.
Whereas this new one, like, it doesn't. The Force Awakens feels more like a J.J. Abrams movie. This one feels more like what are those writers that wrote like Star Trek Into Darkness and Lost and all that stuff? It feels
Alex
like
Kurtzman and Robert Orsi. Yeah, those two.
were they responsible? I can't remember, whoever wrote Rise of Skywalker. Look at them on IMDb or whatever.
Yeah, it's the
It
guy
feels
who made,
like one of those.
who wrote Batman
Palpatine.
vs Superman, right?
And it kind of feels like a movie like Batman vs Superman in a way, where it is just completely scattershot and there's like no real cohesion to anything, and it's slick and it moves really quick, but that's by design, just so you can't really think about how stupid
Yeah.
it is by like kind of scene by scene basis.
I noticed that.
There's
That's
a lot of shit
JJ
that they
thing.
tried to cram in there.
Like Into Darkness had that same thing. I feel like the plot was so stupid,
Absolutely.
and like comedy would be so bad they just rush by it.
There's so many set pieces and like action scenes, like you can't, like that at the beginning of the movie I was like, I had to put my head in my hands because like it was just non-stop, like there's
I
no
thought
chance
the
to
first
breathe.
40 minutes was really dull. Like all that shit when they were on the desert planet, I thought all of that was just really kind of boring. It got kind of good when they went to where's that rain planet, and they meet that lady, what's her name? Carrie Russell.
That
Carrie
city or
Russell.
whatever that's being invaded or something.
That was
that was
kind of
more
interesting. It was like kind of different, the design of it. But then they just rush past that too. They're on that planet for like 10 minutes, I feel like, and then they go on to something else.
Yeah, they really glossed over a lot of things. I'm still kind of confused about when Rey had a clone and showed her scary Bilbo teeth. I don't know what that was about.
Oh, that evil vision or whatever.
Yeah, the Sith one, the Sith Rey.
She fought a
Darth Maul's
version of herself
lightsaber.
that had scary Bilbo teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just foreshadowing that she was a Palpatine. I think that was
I
literally
guess.
it.
We're really
They can put
negative
it
on this.
in the trailer.
Well, I can't think of anything that I really like about it though. When like,
Yeah,
okay,
I'm just,
the
I'm just being
production
honest.
is like is good, but like we've had how many Star Wars movies now that all
Yeah,
have this level of it? And it's like, okay,
Also, it's $300 million budget. It should look this good.
yeah,
It's a huge budget.
yeah, it'd be different if it looked like Justice League or something like that.
Mhm. It's cool to see technically like what you can do with $300 million, but that's about all I got out of it.
Was it
And some
$300
cool
million?
design work. It was something like that. It was $250 million and
Yeah.
$300 million. Like when I checked it, it's somewhere in that range.
Just
And
to pay
God,
for all those render
marketing.
farms for the
Yeah.
thousands of Star Destroyers. Yeah.
Mm.
That shit. And to build the park, the new Star Wars park. That's the only
That was a
good
part
thing
of
to
the
come
budget.
out of Disney. Yeah, is the goddamn theme parks. They know how to make a theme park ride.
Yeah,
So they'll do those Star Wars rides and that'll be great. Just like Avatar.
Mm.
The Avatar ride's amazing. I don't give a fuck about the movie. I'm not even going to see the new ones. I don't even know if they're ever going to be made.
No, that'll be made
Oh, they'll come out.
Yeah,
eventually.
I hope so.
Have you seen like James Cameron gloating about how he thinks
Oh, yeah.
the new ones are going to be easily as big, if not bigger, than
Cool.
Avatar.
If you
1.
look at his IMDb, he's gonna have to tell himself that. Like, there's no way he can exist in a world where he doesn't believe that, or else his reality is just going to implode upon itself. He needs to believe that in order to keep living.
Yeah, he needs to fund his weird like underwater expedition somehow.
Yeah.
Favorite scene in the movie?
Are there scenes in the movie? I feel like every scene was a minute long.
I like the pinata bits.
Like Ralph said, the Han Solo scene was one of the genuine surprises that wasn't an annoying surprise. Like, oh, you didn't kill that character even though you just showed them dying. Oh, you didn't kill that character. Like, oh, C-3PO isn't dead. Oh, Kylo Ren isn't dead. Oh,
no one's ever really gone.
It just never fucking ends. And
I
you
think
just
all the
check
stuff
out.
with Kylo and Rey is the best stuff in the movie.
Yeah,
I would say that.
yeah, it's what should have been the focus, I guess, of the trilogy more so. The overall conflict is so uninteresting. Like, why is anyone even fighting? Like, I don't even understand. Like, from The Force Awakens, like, so the bad guys are just back being a superpower? Like, I thought the whole point was that they were defeated. And that's another thing that is really annoying about The Rise of Skywalker, is that it actually injures the previous movies by undoing Anakin's character arc with Darth Vader, you know, in that last movie, in Return of the Jedi, and throwing the Emperor down, like, that completes his arc. And now he doesn't even die then. So what was the point of it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I guess Anakin wasn't that important.
Yeah, even though he was the main character sort of for 6 movies, one of the most important pieces. Okay.
It's the point of the story.
I guess having
Whatever.
Palpatine in the movie was too important for selling toys and putting his face on a poster.
He's such a
Did you see actually
character.
one of the posters? There's a really bad poster for Rise of Skywalker that has like the Emperor's face kind of in the background.
Yeah.
It turns out they used like a toy,
Oh.
like a picture
really?
of
Oh,
an
really?
official like Palpatine toy.
Oh, that's
and
great.
Just photoshopped it in. Yeah, search that up if for those
That's really
listening.
good.
It's pretty funny.
Jesus Christ.
Maybe it's the symbolism here. Maybe they are
Yeah.
toys.
The posters literally are just toys at this point.
Yeah.
How about fucking Dom Hall Gleason's character? What's his name?
Who's
Hux. Is the guy who turns out to be a spy, and he stays on the ship for some reason, and he just gets
Oh,
shot in
yeah.
the next scene?
Yeah, that was
like, what the
weird.
fuck was that character?
That was really weird.
Yeah,
It's such
That
a
almost
waste.
seemed like a little kind of
Such a waste.
subversion of expectations moment in there.
A little Ryan Johnson moment.
Yeah.
It just seemed like a fuck you. Like, oh, we don't know what to do with this guy.
Fuck it.
They should have taken him with him.
Blam.
That would have been fun if that like Imperial
There'll be
guy
a dynamic
was on.
there.
Yeah, they have him like handcuffed to some pipe or something, and Chewbacca's fucking with him.
Yeah, it was really weird.
No, let's just do nothing. Let's just go meet 10 other characters that do nothing, and then abandon them and go somewhere else.
Baby.
All right.
Lando's in the movie. We didn't even talk about that.
Who?
Lando.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
And he's got his weird like daughter subplot that isn't really explained.
Yeah.
But I think it has been confirmed that it is his daughter. But his delivery of that line is like, "What? Do you want to like fuck her? Like, what is?
What did he say, though?
It's really creepy."
What was the
Do you
line?
remember?
I didn't take it that way, but
where she's
it's
like,
funny.
she's like, "Yeah, I don't know who my dad is or whatever," and he's like, "Want to find out?" or some weird shit like
I
that.
can be your daddy. Yeah, that was the line. Now I remember.
Yeah,
And
great.
what about
movie.
that Finn keeps saying that he's got something to tell Rey throughout the movie
Mm.
over and over again,
He's
and you
pregnant.
never properly find out.
I assumed it was "I love you." Or something
No,
like that.
apparently what it is that he is
Mhm.
actually force sensitive.
Sure. So what was he gonna say? Wait, Ray, I'm force sensitive. That's gonna be his last words to her. Like, who gives a fuck?
My force sense is really
Yeah.
tingly.
She'd go okay, and then they die. I thought it was "I love you." Whatever.
Mm.
My
Someone will
silly
figure it out.
sentimental going back to the original trilogy where people loved each other. It was heart.
Do you think we'll ever find out? Like, do you think we'll ever get that like J.J. Abrams interview in like 20 years where he reveals the truth, or do you think Disney
I don't
will have
think
it clamped
he's-
down forever?
That would imply that he's like an honest person that would share his true feelings, you know? I don't think that'll ever happen.
Well, he doesn't
I
have
suppose.
to. He's not our friend.
Yeah.
he's always been untruthful in marketing. You are right
True,
about that.
true.
Like in Into Darkness, he kept saying Khan's not in it. Khan's not in it. Benedict Cumberbatch is not Khan. And then
that movie
watch the
was just a
movie and it's
remake
Khan.
of
Yeah, it was just Wrath of Khan again.
I can think of like probably a dozen different properties where the ending sucks and J.J. Abrams was involved. He really doesn't know how to end things.
Yeah.
10 Cloverfield
Well,
Lane,
yeah.
Lost.
Yeah.
It's his mystery box.
He
Everyone makes fun of his mystery box, but he asks questions and doesn't have answers for them.
He goes, I don't know.
He writes
at the
interesting, premises.
Gotcha.
That's not what stories are,
Fooled
though,
ya.
you know?
Yeah. You
Better
gotta
luck
check
The
it out.
next
premise isn't a
time.
story.
Play again. All right. I don't have anything more to say about Star Wars.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we're
me
good.
neither.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm good. For your sake?
Yeah.
It's a big movie.
I'm giving this one a 4 out of 10. Closer to a 3 than a 5.
1.5 stars.
Yeah, I'd probably give it around the same. I might watch it one more time when it comes out. Might, download it or something.
Yeah.
Aside from that, like, whatever. No excitement. Nothing really of note to talk about, apart from things that just annoy you the more you think about it. To me, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, is this
of
better than Rogue One? No, we gotta keep talking about Star Wars a
Is
little
it better
bit
than
more.
Rogue One?
Yeah.
No.
I haven't even
No.
seen it yet.
And Solo?
I only saw Solo once.
Oh, so you saw Solo. I saw it by myself in the theater.
That's right. Yeah.
I think
saw Solo.
Solo is the most forgettable one. I haven't even had like an interest to revisit it.
Yeah, exactly. I can't convince myself to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But people
Just
like
such a
that one. Like there are loads of people that sing its praises. I mean, I might give it a chance one day, but
It was not as bad as I expected it to be, and that's why it doesn't leave a sour taste in my mouth. As I expected it to be much worse than it was. And it was like kind of fun for moments and pretty
Mhm.
dumb overall, but I was like, well, that was not the worst thing in the world.
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
Rogue
Darth
One
Maul bit
was
was
better
epic.
than that. Oh god, that's what turned me off. Actually, was the Darth
Yeah, that
Maul
was when I
bit.
was like, oh, fuck this
Yeah.
film. Like, what are you doing? Like, where are we going with this? Like, what is the purpose of any of this? Like, do you want it to be Marvel? No? It didn't make money? Okay, it's not going to be Marvel now. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are you doing?
Didn't make enough money.
Yeah.
I don't know. Marvel has
Yeah.
had a
It's
couple
okay.
not so great box office returns, but that didn't make them quit their whole plan.
Yeah. Like, surely if it's like, okay, now we're just going to do Han Solo and Darth Maul, the movie. Like, surely people will go and see that. If you, like, made it without fucking up, like, the director choice and having to reshoot, like, half the movie or whatever.
Disney's just
What
very
else do they
quick
have?
to puss out. If something isn't like as big of a success as they planned, they're like, bail, shut down the engines.
Because they're full of hubris now, because they have so many billion-dollar movies, Lion King, Aladdin, Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like
they're
when
just
you're Bill
arrogant.
Gates, like the amount of time that it would take to pick up $100 bill off the sidewalk, you'd be losing money. It's kind of like that.
yeah.
Where they're just like,
Yeah.
it's not worth it.
What else are they gonna make Star Wars movies about? Because
Yeah, I'm really
Obi-Wan,
actually
and
curious.
that's about it.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in the like Star Wars office or whatever with all these like businessmen in suits. Like, what the fuck are we gonna do? What are we doing? We've promised all of this shit. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna give the Game of Thrones dudes, who now everyone hates, a trilogy, but that's been canned. And Ryan Johnson was gonna get his own trilogy, and that's probably not gonna happen. Like, they
Yeah.
just don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. We need Julian Assange to leak all that shit so we can know for
The
sure.
Disney leaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Then he'll go to double jail.
No hard feelings, Disney. Movie was bad.
No
I'm
hard
done with the
feelings.
Star Wars movies
Okay.
now. I'm just not seeing
We
them.
still love you,
This is
old
it.
pal.
This is it. I'm not giving them my money anymore for Star Wars movies.
Yeah, I feel that way too.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
It's not that it matters. It's not like I just don't want to watch them anymore. They're not not engaging.
It's fair enough.
Mhm.
Couldn't blame you for it.
Speaking of Ryan Johnson, I guess we have a tiny bit of time to talk about Knives Out, which is a movie we all
Yeah.
saw. It's his redemption arc. Not that I thought that he was
It's his
ever like
apology for the Last
terrible.
Jedi.
Yeah.
He's a good director.
Yeah, I never
He's
thought
always
he was,
been a
like,
good director
awful.
and writer.
It's funny because like most people never heard of Rian Johnson before The Last Jedi, and so they all think he's like the worst person on the planet. When in reality, he's been like a competent director this whole time.
Brick is a great movie.
That's the one I haven't seen. I've seen everything else.
Looper is solid. I know it has its issues with the plot, which you've got into, Adam.
Oh, yeah.
But I still enjoy it. I like the character stuff. I like the performances.
Even in my review, I still said it's a decent movie. It just contradicts itself the entire time. It sets up rules
it's not a
and
perfect
then
movie.
and
It's
then
not quite Brick.
doesn't follow them. You know, it's actually hilarious that he sent the script to Shane Carruth, the director of Primer, and apparently Shane literally wrote him back saying the time travel is wrong. And Rian Johnson made it anyway. Anyway, Knives Out. It's pretty good.
It was.
Yeah, I
Donut
really
hole
enjoyed it.
inside another donut hole.
Yeah,
Craig.
people were being like extra critical because of The Last Jedi. I feel like on social media, like waiting for that moment where there was something they could pounce on and be like, "Look, that's the bit we can complain about on Twitter." Like that being like the I guess the biggest standout moment like that when the 13 Reasons Why
Oh yeah,
girl,
that girl.
she's like says something. There's some sort of like Twitter commentary type thing that's a bit like, okay, that's not the best bit. But aside from that, like I enjoyed the ride.
Yeah, provocative. Definitely provocative. You could tell Rian Johnson.
Yeah, whereas he
wanted
was
to say
more
something.
subtle about the way he was addressing The Last Jedi in other ways. We're not we can't talk spoilers, can we? So I suppose
And
we
Knives
can't.
Out? We can do that. It's been out in theaters for like a couple months now.
Yeah, you're right.
We can
to be
talk
fair. It's been a
spoilers.
while since I've seen it. But
Spoilers.
yeah,
You're on out.
the character who was killed, who was a writer in the movie, I thought that was almost like a self-insert type of deal, where he was talking about. It's been a while since I've seen it, but he directly says something through that character, where he's like lamenting about his choices with some of his like books or something, and I thought that came across to me as like a direct sort of acknowledgement of elements of The Last Jedi, but
Yeah.
I could be reading into it too much. But,
I don't think that's an unreasonable interpretation at all.
but yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a fun murder mystery that subverts in the right way. You know, like it's been such a buzzword to mock the whole idea of subverting expectations, but like a lot of the best media does do that. You know, to be fair, and he does it very well in the movie when it's set up and you're kind of expecting it to be a kind of by the books typical, you know, murder mystery like he's setting up. There is more to it. It goes places you don't really expect.
And I think from concept alone, the only way it can really work is if you can't tell exactly what's going to happen, because it's kind of a whodunit, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want audience members to be able to be like, that guy did it, and then just know everything throughout the whole film. You need to have some sort of subversion of expectations, if you will. You need to be able to do that. And I think it did it really well. As much as it is kind of a callback and an homage or homage to Clue type whodunit movies or whatever, it still managed to be something fresh, and I really enjoyed it overall.
Yeah, really good cast as well.
Big cast.
Yeah, great cast. Anna de Armas was the fucking star of the show.
She's great.
She's great.
I love her.
Yeah, she was so great.
She really carried it.
I like that interesting little gimmick plot device that they have with her throwing up every time she lies or something.
yeah, that was
that's
odd,
really
but
funny.
it worked. It worked for the tone.
I'm going to be a little nitpicky, and I didn't mention this in my review because it is so nitpicky that I think people would have just got mad. There is one moment in the film where she lies and she doesn't throw up, and that kind of pissed me off a little. When she's she's trying to cover up the muddy footprints, and Daniel Craig's like, "No, don't go over there." And she's like, "What? I can't hear you." And she's very obviously lying, pretending she can't hear him, even though she can. And she doesn't throw up.
Yeah, that's true.
And she never even has a moment where she has to like go to the side and throw up. And I was like, Ryan,
Yeah, I
you
suppose that
fucked
does
up.
count as a lie.
You fucked
Rian
up,
Johnson,
Ryan.
Come on.
But still, I really enjoyed the movie.
Movie sucks. That's it.
It's
1 out
over.
of 5.
I'm going on Twitter now.
I'm mostly glad that it's an original movie that has done very well. Which is a good sign. and I think the studio's very happy with it. I think they've actually greenlit a sequel, so we'll see how that goes.
What?
It's not really. Yeah, did you not see this?
No.
Am I wrong?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
Hey, why not?
Yeah, I think with the idea being that Daniel Craig is like a recurring character or something.
Okay.
The
They're great
investigator,
characters.
obviously.
I would honestly be happy to see all of them again. Daniel Craig especially, I'm so happy he's like not doing the James Bond shtick or like the machismo man, whatever. Like he's in Logan Lucky. He plays like a fucking weird ass character in that, but he's so good. And I'm glad he's taking parts like that. He's like the best actor in this.
I will admit I had to get used to his accent. When he first showed up, I was like, oh no. It was really jarring.
But I thought he was
I got
so...
used to it for sure.
I thought he was
It's
so
suitably
good.
over the top. It works with the tone
Mr.
and the
Foghorn
style
Leghorn.
of story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's pretty well shot too. Ryan Johnson has never been like bad as a visual director. Even in The Last Jedi, there's some really interesting visuals. Like when I think of The Last Jedi, honestly, there's very few Star Wars films where I can like pick out a shot in my memory and be like, that looks nice, and I go back to it in my head. But I really liked the red salt planet aesthetic sort of thing, and like the ship's crashing and it's like blood red. Like I thought that was a really cool visual, even if the movie overall wasn't great.
Yeah.
So Ryan Johnson has always been pretty good at that sort of thing.
No, agreed. I'm sure there's more I could say about the movie, but it has admittedly been a while since I've seen it. So as far as because there's a fair amount of commentary in the movie, in terms of like the class sort of struggle that it's highlighting.
Yeah, it's very modern American politics.
Yeah, exactly.
There's definitely
I didn't
whole
find
immigration.
I didn't find that obnoxious.
Yeah. There's other pieces of media that I've seen that have attempted the same thing, like Life is Strange 2 was also very much about Trump and the wall, but this film handled it much better. It wasn't as heavy-handed, and it actually made sense in the plot. You know, it kind of raised the stakes a little bit, because with that element, there was like, oh no, her mom will get deported sort of thing. Like, there's a reason why she wasn't able to just go to the police or whatever.
Yeah, and seeing all of the like snobby rich kids who want their inheritance get their own, like it's just fun to watch. It's it's a fun gimmick.
It had a good energy. It was appropriately
good
comedic
pace as well.
I think it was mostly a comedy, honestly, but there was enough interesting, kind of intriguing things happening at the same time.
Yeah, it's the kind of movie I want to see him do. Like just keep it small, keep it intimate, and then you can homage all the stuff he loves, which is always
he
done.
still has his own Star Wars movies coming. I think.
What?
Do you think that's going to happen? Though, really?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think.
Really?
Maybe. Who knows?
I think
at this point he regrets
trilogy.
associating himself with Star Wars.
No, I don't think so. I think, well, obviously not, because now he gets a lot more work and money. Like, he got a fucking huge cast for this movie. It's probably because of Star Wars.
Yeah, he made a $1 billion movie, I suppose.
If he had a whole trilogy to just do his own thing and tell his own story, I think he'd do a fine job.
Yeah, if he left like all the characters that everyone is really attached to already alone and just did his own thing, I think you're right. I think it could be really interesting.
Yeah, just something original within Star Wars. I think he's the one that could save it, if anyone could.
I think it might be too late, though. I think people hate The Last Jedi so much, and they hate him so much, and I think Disney's scared of the risk.
Like it too, right?
No, but how would they even market it from the guy who directed The Last Jedi?
Yeah.
That one
you don't have to
all
mention
hate.
that.
Yeah,
You could just
pull
be
an
like, it's
After-Earth.
Star Wars. It's
see what I
Star
mean,
Wars 15.
Optically, it's really hard to sell, I think, to the average Star Wars fan who doesn't know Rian Johnson, aside from the fact that they hate that he made The Last Jedi.
Ryan Johnson's going to have to change his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Johnson Ryan.
To ruin Johnson. Yeah, it's we don't need to talk about this movie for too long. We talked about Star Wars for a bunch anyway. There's not too much to say about Knives Out other than we liked it. It was fun. You should see it.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid murder mystery.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
What would you give it out of? Whatever you want to give it out of.
I think I gave it 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's the perfect, sort of 7 out of 10
Right,
movie.
7
Yeah.
out of 10, yeah.
I gave it a 7 also. We're all in agreement. So there was a movie that was
Are you gonna
recommended.
do
Masterpiece
it?
called Space Jam, starring Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny. Spoilers.
Spoilers for Space Jam,
Spoilers for
everybody.
Space Jam.
Space Jam. Okay, so what do you guys think of Space Jam?
You need to
What, do you want me
describe
to say
it
the
first.
fucking plot?
Yeah.
What do you want me to
what's the
say?
plot, dude?
What do you mean?
Michael
Because
Jordan
the
gets
movie is
transported
the
into Looney
burden
Tunes, and he
that
has to
you've
play a
chosen.
basketball game with Bugs Bunny and the Looney Tunes.
But why?
That's the plot. That's the plot of the movie.
Are we all very familiar with Space Jam?
I am too
Yeah, I
familiar
have people
with
tell me
Space
this is
Jam.
a masterpiece. This is like one of their favorite movies from their childhood.
I was obsessed with Space Jam as a child.
Yeah.
I had the soundtrack, like I know all the words
Yeah.
from like all the songs in it. Like I was one of those. Like I loved it.
Yeah.
So it was really fun to revisit because I haven't seen it since I was a kid. Like obviously, it's not the
Yeah.
film that like pops into my head when I want to like entertain myself. But it's fun. It's really stupid, but it does feel very, very self-aware and way more meta than I remembered it being. Which I suppose works with the Bugs Bunny's always been that way, where he's looking at the camera and making jokes, and there's like Bill Murray in the movie, like making comments about how he's friends with the producer, and that's the only reason he's in the movie.
Yeah.
Stuff like that
Yeah.
was like cute to
It's
me.
very silly. You have like real players in the movie, then they're like acting out skits because the aliens take away their abilities, so they can't play basketball as well. And it's so stupid. Like they're in the doctor's office describing how they can't like perform anymore.
I thought that was a
it's-
funny scene.
Yeah, it's just so silly that you can't help but laugh at how like ridiculous it is that
It
they
is
set all
very
this
dumb.
up. And then you got like Michael Jordan on really bad green screen fucking playing basketball with these cartoon characters, and it's hilarious.
It was a technological masterpiece.
It was.
Did
Did you look into the behind the scenes a little bit?
Oh yeah, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Legitimately though, like with no exaggeration, this film was a cultural phenomenon. It defined a decade.
Yeah.
This was like the '90s personified in a film.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking when I
The
was watching it.
soundtrack, especially.
The soundtrack was fucking
I
killer.
believe
You have to
I can
understand
fly.
Yeah.
that like the '90s had so many films that were successful because of their soundtracks. And this one was like this huge
true, yeah.
collaboration with all these different artists where you could debatably make the case that each of these artists wrote their best song for this film. It seemed like everybody believed in this movie. It was really crazy. It was like one of the top-selling soundtracks of the decade, perhaps even the highest. I
Yeah.
don't know. The Lion King might
It's
have sold more.
ridiculous. Why is the film called Space Jam, aside from the fact that the aliens come from space?
Well, because it's like NBA Jam. Jam is like kind of a basketball term, right?
Ah, okay. See, this is the thing. Like, in my upbringing, like basketball, nothing to do with me. Like, it's not really a sport that's really associated with the UK. You
Mhm.
know? Like, I know nothing about basketball, and
You play
when the movie
football.
loses me, yeah, and cricket, rugby. So, like, that aspect always bored me, even as a child. When the first part of the movie is just like Michael Jordan, like just basically getting his dick sucked by like everyone.
Yeah, the first half hour is kind of dull. The Looney Tunes are hardly in it. I think they're in it for like a few minutes.
Yeah, and it feels just
and-
like a really kind of lame, generic like
Yeah.
sports movie. But
It's
then when
weird.
the Looney Tunes comes in and the plot gets moving, oh my god, it's like the wackiest concept.
Mhm.
It's all based on an advert for shoes, as far as I understand
yeah?
it.
What?
Yeah, there was a. Do you guys not know this? Like there was some famous like Nike adverts with Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny in them, like with the drawn in on over it
Okay.
and all this, like in the same sort of
Mhm.
style from like 90. What was it, 93, 94, that were like really popular apparently at the time. And supposedly that was part of what like inspired the movie to get
That's
made,
great.
based on these like really
I'll have to
popular
look those up.
advertisements. Yeah,
Wow.
I watched one on YouTube and it was pretty funny, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. So from that perspective, it is kind of interesting because like that kind of is the movie. There are a fair amount of like product placements that they even like acknowledge, like the whole. What's the duck called again?
Daffy.
It's not Daffy, is it? Is it Daffy?
It is Daffy.
What's it? Yeah.
The Warner
Okay, yeah,
Brothers
because I
one,
always get it confused with Donald. Yeah,
No,
Daffy
Donald
and
is
Don-
Disney.
Yeah, not that one. Daffy, like in that scene, he has the Warner Bros. Like logo on his ass, and he like kisses his own ass with the Warner Bros. Logo on
He
it. Like
performs
it's very...
autoanalingus.
Yeah.
There's also a kiss with Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan.
There's a lot of kissing and a
there's
lot
all
of butts.
sorts of crazy
There's
shit.
a lot of sexualized. There's like sexual innuendo in that fucking therapy scene with the basketball player.
Oh yeah,
The doctor asks him if his dick works.
basically
Yeah. There's a lot of sexual shit in the movie, actually. Like
yeah.
Lola Bunny. God almighty. That's like a fucking famous thing from this film.
yeah.
Which is channeling the same energy as like Jessica Rabbit from
I guess.
Who Framed
I think it's supposed to be
Roger
funny.
Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird because, like, the idea of comedy, especially in the 90s, like, you see a lot of this, like, Bugs Bunny kissing Michael Jordan sort of thing. It's like, haha, they're both males. Also, one's a bunny, I guess.
Like, it's just funny.
It's like, that's not how kissing's supposed to work.
But now I feel like guys on the internet would just be like, oh.
Well,
It's
yeah,
not-
I mean, like, I don't know. I've got like a theory here. That like so we've only had this type of media where you can use your imagination and transform visual images, you know, like drawings into things that seem real, especially to a child. And when you're a child and your brain's developing, you're soaking up information like a sponge. And there are things that are imprinting on you, whether consciously or not. And one of those things that is imprinting on you is your sexuality. And when you're living in this world of like Christian America, Christian North America, where in every other sense, sexuality is basically just taboo. And you in any like live action film, parents will like skip through a sex scene or whatever, and so like the child has nothing to imprint themselves onto in terms of what sexuality should be. And then they watch Space Jam where the main character is like auga, hearts in his eyes, and it's like very clearly communicating this idea of like, this is what sexual attraction is to this female bunny character. And then furries exist and people wonder how the fuck it happened. Right? I'm sorry. This is
it's not.
byproduct
I'm
of
saying
our
it's not
culture.
intentional. I
It's
think
not
they just wanted to be
probably
funny.
not
It's like a
intentional,
Jessica
exactly.
Rabbit kind of thing.
They didn't know what they were
or
doing.
The animators were just like horny fucking guys.
They
were
had
like,
no
let's
idea. Of
Animate.
Of course they are.
Yeah, well, that probably that too. It's
Who
a
could
mix
have
of
seen
both
this
like
coming?
that. This film is God.
I just love its commitment to the fact that it has no commitments. Like, it has no rules at all, and that's kind of what makes it fun. Like,
It's like gag
So-
setup.
they established that, like, under the planet's, like, surface is a just a toon world. Like, his Bugs Bunny just lives underground.
Yeah.
And they have a sky
In the
and,
Earth's
like,
core.
air. Okay.
And it's like, they don't even, it doesn't matter. Like,
No.
it really doesn't matter.
I like how they have to go back to the actual golf course to get back to the Toon World. Like, that's the one spot. It's just very
This
convenient.
random golf course. Reminded me of Caddyshack seeing Bill Murray on the golf course again. He was
Oh,
great
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I thought he was funny.
Yeah, it was nice to see him. They just got a bunch of great people together and let them loose. Like, just make something funny and stupid. And they ended up making a masterpiece.
Pretty much.
I do get a
Of-
bit tired of Newman, to be fair. He
Newman?
just
Oh, I
gets
thought
shit-
Newman was great. He just shows up, like, out of nowhere for no reason.
I love Newman.
Yeah.
At the end, especially.
No, I love Newman, but it's just this thing that the punchline with him just over and over again is him just being like crushed or falling over.
Yeah.
He is
That's
fat.
it.
I'm Wayne
Yeah,
Knight.
exactly. It was like it got to a point where it's like they animated the like characters being like, "You're fat and lame," and it's like, God, like that's really kind of mean.
But for this kind of movie,
mean-spirited.
it's different, though, because it's, like, for kids. It's for really little kids. And I think having, like, stupid, vulgar shit like that, and, like, this character just gets flattened every scene, like, I think that's hilarious for kids. I love that.
What's funny is it almost feels like you can't even do a lot of this shit anymore.
Right.
Like,
That's
if
kind of what
they're-
I missed
they're
about it.
planning
There
on
was a
Space
nostalgia
Jam
factor.
too, but like, what are they gonna fucking do?
It's
Are they
be
gonna
so
stay
tame.
true to its roots? Because
They-
in some
they
ways,
can't.
it's like they were very obviously paying homage, whatever, to like the original Looney Tunes cartoons. Like there was a lot of the
Yeah.
same shit in there that even I guess just barely for the 90s standards, there were some people complaining about things like gun violence and like explosives and blah, blah, blah. But they didn't have as much of like, I guess, market control as they do now. Like now corporations are like, please don't make fun of us on Twitter. Whereas like in the 90s, you could just kind of ignore these people. So you have like Yosemite Sam or whatever with like guns on the basketball court shooting people. Just like
true.
weird things
and even
like that.
the villain with a big fat cigar in his mouth.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if that would
Danny
fly now
DeVito.
in like a kid's animated movie. Who was awesome.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, I don't know what they would do now if they were going to make Space Jam 2 with LeBron James, which is apparently what they're trying to do. Coming out next year or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's weird that like even to some extent where it's like, okay, they're trying to encapsulate this older generation sort of Looney Tunes thing, there's still this kind of like checklist and it's really apparent by Lola Bunny's existence in the film, because literally the only reason she's there is so that there is a love interest in the film. And so you look at the main characters and it's like you can't really just throw Michael Jordan to have a love interest when he's already married, sort of thing. And he probably wouldn't really be able to play off the character very well. His acting kind of fucking sucks. So what do? We give Bugs Bunny a romantic interest, and she literally just shows up, and the entire purpose of her character is like, she's such a slut. Wow, she's hot. like that's literally her whole character.
But she don't take no lip.
And even when they announce her when she's coming into the game, they're like, and the luscious Lola Bunny or whatever the announcer says. Everybody in the crowd goes like, "Auga!" Starts catcalling her. It's so weird.
It's such a like animators like stereotype thing to do that. They're like, we love drawing voluptuous like women
that are rabbits.
Remember the part where they have a bottle of Michael Jordan's secret stuff?
Yeah.
Special juice,
Yeah. Was that Jenkum?
Yes.
I think that's supposed to be Jenkum.
There's very twisted morals going on in this film. Because at that
fucking
point,
stupid.
it's like you should
comedy.
be taking steroids.
You're not supposed to think about the morals of it.
Well, no, because, okay, think of it. Because if it's for kids, there's a line where Daffy says, like, this goes against everything I was taught in health class as he's about to drink it. And he gets peer pressured into it. And Michael Jordan says the line, "You want to win, don't you?" And then, the scene just continues on. And it's like, what the fuck are you trying... What are you trying to teach here? But I guess, I don't know.
It is edgy.
It is a little...
but kids can handle it. They can handle it.
Yeah.
It's silly.
I didn't grow up taking steroids, I guess, but...
I remember elements of the film really disturbing me as a child. Two of them in particular. When Newman is squashed.
I knew that one was coming. That's fucking disturbing today.
Yeah. And when Michael Jordan's arm stretches like Stretch Armstrong so he can dunk that final, and win the game. It's just something very your brain doesn't like seeing a human form morphed like a cartoon.
Right.
Like goes against the whole point of like why we invented cartoons.
It's better than Fantastic Four.
I suppose you're right.
Yeah, all of them.
Were you guys bothered at all by the voices? Because like Mel Blanc is obviously dead by the time this movie comes out, so they got like Billy West, the guy from Futurama, to do. Well, he does a lot of shit. He got him to do Bugs Bunny, and he did a great job. But it's like there's something that's just a little off.
I noticed it was different.
Yeah, it didn't really bother me though.
But as a kid, you don't notice at all.
No,
I never noticed.
I
once
did
when
find
I was younger.
those. When the Monstars are small, I found their voices very irritating.
Yeah, they were kind of annoying characters when they were small.
Yeah, like one of them's like, they will speak in just an annoying, like, drony kind of way.
Yeah.
It just got under my skin.
I think the pacing is just kind of bad as a whole. Like,
I
wish...
it's really bad.
I kind of feel like there should have been just more games. There should have been like a series of games and they get better as they go along instead of like having just this one. Because it's like
like Shaolin Soccer kind of style.
Kind of like that. Because like it's just 40 minutes of this basketball game.
But that's
and it's
what
just
makes
a bunch
it
of
so
gags.
cool.
Sure, but it's just a bunch of gags. That's all that's going on. It's like a half-hour Michael Jordan just hanging out, like a sports ad for him. And then he goes to Looney Tune Land and they have this one sports game. And it's like, it needed something more, I think.
No, because it's like think of this like a Gaspar Noé film, where like the first
Sure.
like half of the movie is like all this build up, and then they take the LSD, and from the rest of the film onwards, it's like absolute chaos. That's like the basketball game, pretty much.
Yeah. They kind of wanted to experiment
Perfect.
with the structure of it. But I think it's because they just wanted like to take the lazy route and throw a bunch of gags in.
Because what else can you really do with this premise? To it, like, honestly,
Right.
like, what can you do?
It's a NBA Looney Tunes crossover. So they're like, okay,
Genius.
what the fuck do we do with this? And at least it's not called like NBA versus Looney Tunes or whatever. It's not that like corporate and bad. Like if this movie came out now, it wouldn't be called Space Jam. It'd be like Looney Tunes in action with the Michael Jordan. Like they
Brendan
spell it
Fraser.
out what the fuck it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's thoroughly entertaining. It's like an hour and a half movie that goes by so quick for me. It's like
Yeah,
I'm never bored watching
It's
this film.
candy.
I think
It's
I've seen
so
it
light.
3 times in the past year, actually. Once because I
I
did a
watched it twice
commentary
for
track
this.
for it. Oh, you watched it twice? Just for
Yeah.
this?
Because there's no reason not to watch it twice. It's so quick. You know?
Yeah.
That's what I felt. Oh, I'm not saying you should have watched it twice.
To get all the nuances and subtleties.
There aren't any nuances and subtleties.
There's a little bit in terms of like the 2D animation. There's some really cool like perspective shots that I thought were
Oh yeah, all that
Pretty
stuff was
decent.
impressive.
Yeah.
that kind of stuff was cool.
Mhm.
Well,
That's always fun to
Just
watch.
the green screen was bad.
yeah.
And that, like Michael Jordan's acting, he never felt like he was there. He was never like interacting with the characters in a way that felt believable.
Yeah. When he's trying to inspire them. Come on, guys. Get
inspire
your head
them.
in the game.
Or just say things to them on the street, or not on the street, in the court. He's just
Yeah.
like, you gotta get your act together. It's like, what?
Yeah, he cannot
He's not
act.
delivering that convincingly. Yeah, whatever. He did his best. It's a basketball player. It's no
Yeah.
uncut gems in terms of that stuff.
It's just the concept alone is just insane. Could you imagine seeing a trailer for this if you were like an adult in the 90s? I was like 5 when this movie came out, so I couldn't speak to that. But could you imagine
I was
going
so
into a movie
excited.
theater and being like, Michael Jordan versus Bugs Bunny? Could you imagine how fucking hyped he'd be? Michael Jordan was like the biggest fucking thing ever. He was like OJ if he didn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
Not in the UK. We liked it just because it was,
Oh,
you know, Looney
Oh, yeah.
Tunes.
you guys.
Do you like basketball there?
No. Well, I don't.
Just soccer.
Soccer, cricket, rugby. The main ones.
Ralph, it's football.
No, it's football. Football.
I
yeah.
said soccer very purposefully.
Yeah, I could tell. I could tell.
No, yeah. Despite how much of a meme this movie is, like, there's a couple cool things in it, like the the blend of 2D and 3D when they get into like the real world and they do that practical effect of like them tunneling through and they just have their voices.
Yeah.
And there's no actual
Yeah, I really
animation
enjoyed that.
taking place, but it's a cool little, fill it in with your own imagination sort of thing. And that thing was crazy to me as a kid. And then,
Mhm.
as an adult, there's even other shots that I kind of like when Wayne Knight is like looking through the golf hole, and it's just this shot of his face, and you can tell that they created this like obscenely large version of the golf hole, and it's like a perspective shot. It was almost like a Terry
Yeah.
Gilliam kind of thing going on.
Mhm.
Like that shot, I think is actually really great, and it's only in there for a second, but it's actually a really good shot.
There's
you know?
a moment that follows that one later on with Newman or whatever, where it's implied that he's dug this like a huge
Oh, yeah.
this huge crater, which is such a funny image, and like to me, like it just implied he's been there digging for like hours, if not days, like just trying to get down to whatever this is, and it's like such a comically large like set with all this like dirt everywhere, and he's tunneled right down. That was cute to me.
Yeah. This movie wasn't really thrown together, even if a lot of the effects are really dated, especially the whole CG basketball court or whatever. Still, it's not like it was just like a lazy, heartless film. Even if it is this big corporate project involving the NBA and Looney Tunes, there was still something with a heart there, and there were people that believed in it, and it made this huge cultural impact somehow.
It's just so weird. That must be it. Like, it's just so strange, you know?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Just everything from the premise all the way to, like, details like the Monstars just turning into goo and just taking basketball players' like ability and then putting it into a basketball and like transferring it between people. It's like this really like out there like ideas that they just casually just put in. It's hilarious.
When your concept is that you're making kind of a Looney Tunes film, you have pretty much complete creative freedom to do whatever the hell you want. Because nothing has to make sense in that way. It can be really cartoony, and that's kind of the point. And that's kind of the plot device at the end is like, oh yeah, we're in Toonland. I'll just stretch out my fucking arm and win the game. Oh yeah. Should have been doing this before. I just realized that right now.
Oh yeah, the other really disturbing moment is when the Monstars like crunch up.
Oh yeah.
Mikey into a ball.
Oh, that was
that's
terrifying.
Really like that made me feel very strange as a child seeing that.
There's a couple moments in the film that just seem like a little off in terms of like what would be acceptable for making something today. Like the stakes of the game are slavery, and you get that shot where Michael Jordan goes up to the Monstars and they're already losing, and he's like, how about we raise the stakes a little bit? And it's like, what, from slavery? Yeah. And he's like, I'll be your slave. And then you see like this animated segment of Michael Jordan in a ball and chain sort of thing. I'm like, the imagery here is a little... Today. I don't know if you can show that.
I don't know. In that Aladdin movie, like, Will Smith had a line where he was talking about, I never called a master a friend or whatever. People took that the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So that shit still happens. Like, unintentional shit like that.
I mean, yeah, this one was a bit more blatant, but...
Yeah, definitely more blatant. I don't think that would fly today. I'm just saying it's become more subtle.
There's like that Pulp Fiction reference.
That was great.
Yeah, just for like a tiny moment.
Yeah.
It seemed like just the whole basketball scene was literally just a bunch of gags stitched together that could have been in any order.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it goes on for a long time.
That's why they needed more progression for it. Space it out a little bit.
Space
jam it out a little bit.
Yeah, jam it out a bit. How are you even supposed to analyze a movie like this, honestly?
we did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Would you say it's a good film? Because I wouldn't. I'd say it's a bad movie, but there's many parts I think it's entertaining and interesting, and I think its effect on like children from the 90s is interesting too.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it.
It'll always have a place
that.
in my heart, that's for sure.
Yeah. I watched it, like, I rented it from the library and watched it on VHS as a kid, and I enjoyed it.
Hell yeah. That's the way to do it.
So I appreciated it on that level. But it's not a good movie.
I would not say it's a good movie. I would not say it's a bad movie. I would say it's a masterpiece. No, I don't know, because like
it's not a good movie.
My actual rating is like 5, but at the same time, I wouldn't say it's like average. You know, it's just something that's like there's enough going for it and enough going against it, but it's not bland. There's a lot that I love about it, and like I said, there's a lot of heart going into it as well. But it is, you know, it's not like a well-structured movie. It's not like a thought-provoking movie for the most part.
They weren't even thinking about that when making it. They just wanted to make something fun. And
even on like
all this stuff.
On a technical level, with the live action combined with the 2D animation stuff, like it would be way more impressive to me if we didn't already have Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which I think is a good movie.
Did it way better too, I think.
Yeah, so it always was kind of in the shadow of that movie from the get-go, and it does embrace it. It knows how stupid it is, and that's kind of what stops it from being irritating somehow.
Yeah, it's a monumental achievement in cinema history.
Cool. It should have won the Oscar that year.
What's what's that like American institution that like collects films that say that they're a part of cinema history or some shit?
Oh, I know the one. Oh,
What's
God,
that
what is
called
it?
again? Because if Space Jam's not in it, it should be
Is it like the film registry or something like that?
something. I forget what it's called.
Did you
Anyway,
ever see the like sequel? I don't know if it's not a sequel, but it was like the same kind of premise in like the Looney Tune world.
Looney
with
Tunes
Brendan
Back in
Fraser.
Action? Yeah, I don't
That's the one.
think I saw it.
Yeah,
I
it's
might have
just the
seen
National
bits of it
Film
on
Registry.
TV.
Yeah.
National Film Registry. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Vote Space Jam.
I'll check if it's on here.
What would you guys give it
They
at?
got Lion King, and they got Roger Rabbit.
Oh.
So that's good. I'd probably give it 1 out of 5, honestly. But
For
has
shame,
its-
Ralph.
moments for shame, sure.
God, yeah, I don't even know what I'd rate it in terms of a number. I hadn't even thought about it. Maybe a 2-star, just for the humor factor. I think it's worth a watch. Like,
Yeah, even though it
either
sounds
for
like we're
nostalgia
positive
or-
about it, you know.
yeah, that's
It's
actually
just
really
not a good
interesting.
movie.
Like,
Yeah.
it's almost like so bad that it's good, but it also isn't. Like, it's not Ben and Arthur, you know.
Right, but like Gene Dealman, we like begrudgingly gave that a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Because like I was bored as hell, but I'm like, oh, this is like an art film, and it's this.
Yeah.
This is like I'm really passionate about it. I really enjoyed parts of it, and it's like,
Yeah,
oh, this is a
exactly.
1 out of 5. This is it's a piece of shit because
Yeah.
it is, but it has its moments that are really fun. It's
Yeah, your
complicated.
enjoyment doesn't.
That's why
necessarily
ratings
have
are
to be a,
dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can enjoy things that you do not consider to be great, and you can hate things that you consider to be good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but it's
So
like how do you
rating is
rate those
not
things?
Yeah, not necessarily a
I have a
reflection
really
of your
hard time with like the
enjoyment.
Neil Breen ones. Because there's Neil Breen movies that are better than others. So it's like, I should rate this one lower than this one, but they're all like really like not even worth a 1 star.
That's
if
why you
you're
just
looking
give
at
them
it, like-
tens, and you don't think about
Sure,
it.
that's what you have to
leave it
do.
alone. You just give them tens. That's what I do. They're all tens.
Sure.
All right.
Great film.
Amazing movie. Banger soundtrack. Fucking amazing soundtrack. After I watched it, this time, I ordered the vinyl off of eBay. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah. I feel like it's a
Of course that
necessary
exists.
addition to my collection.
Yeah.
All right, question time.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's move into some questions from the Sardonicast community. If you want to leave your own questions for us, head over to the Sardonicast Reddit, where there'll be a suggestion thread. You can ask whatever you like. Let's start off with this one then from Individual Log, who says, who are the best actors named Adam, Alex, and Ralph?
Oh, God.
It's Ralph Macchio.
Do you want me
I
to start
know
you off? 'Cause I
Ralph,
thought
Ralph
about
Fiennes.
Adam
you
Driver
took
comes to
my
mind.
one. Adam Sandler, yeah.
I said Adam
Adam
Driver. I
West.
don't know if you misheard me.
Adam West, cool.
I think Alex is the hardest of those three. Can you think of any actors?
Hmm.
Best actors, that being.
Alex Wolf. No. Yeah, he sucks.
He doesn't suck.
I don't like either of those brothers, honestly. I don't think they've
No?
ever made a movie like.
Well, the
Not
Naked
worse.
Brothers Band. Was he in the Naked Brothers Band, or is he the other one?
I think they both were. Both of those brothers were in the Naked Brothers
oh,
band.
really?
I think they were the brothers.
That's the only thing I know them from. And like one of
Yeah.
them's in Hereditary, right?
Yeah, one of them's in Hereditary. The other one's in the Death Note.
And the Jeffrey
Netflix.
Dahmer movie.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that too. Holy
Yeah.
shit! I can't believe I forgot about how that's a bad fucking movie.
yeah. I don't think they've ever made a movie not worse.
Yeah, there's no Alexes. None.
You could say yourself because you were in Hunt for the Freeman, and that was a pretty good performance.
Yeah.
Thank
Or
you.
Hunt down the
That's
Freeman.
really-
What was it?
And
It was
Golden
Hunt
Hour.
Down the Freeman.
Hunt down the Freeman.
You're
I was-
building
I
up
was-
your
I was-
resume. You've voice acted in so many things now.
I was one of the titular characters. Nick.
Let's see. I'm gonna actually have to. There might be a Google of like actors named Alex.
Yeah, I was trying to look some up. Had a hard time.
There aren't any.
Yeah, I don't.
telling
I don't recognize any of these fucking people.
There's a gap in the market, all you Alexes out there. Go and achieve.
Yeah.
What about Alexander
That counts, because that is my name.
Skarsgård? There we go.
Okay.
We found one.
There you go,
Okay,
Alexander
there's
Skarsgård. Happy
and,
with that?
And Ralph Fiennes and Adam Driver or something.
Yeah, it was
Cool.
great in The Legend of Tarzan, yeah.
Now we need a picture of all three of them together.
He was in Melancholia.
God, he's in Chernobyl recently.
Okay.
He
Yeah, that
played
was
a
good.
character
Okay,
in
I'll take it, I'll take
Zoolander.
I watched that again. I didn't like it as much the second time, but
Zoolander?
no, Chernobyl.
Oh,
The Zoolander I haven't seen.
okay.
I've seen Zoolander 2. I don't know why.
You saw the sequel and you haven't seen the first one?
Yeah,
It's
it was on
literally
TV. I
the
think.
point of it. Oh, okay, I was like, the point of it is like
Yeah.
nostalgia bait. Like, what are you even gonna get?
Yeah,
out of
exactly.
that?
So I wasn't getting much out of it. Yeah,
The first one has some moments. I could watch Zoolander
Sure.
again.
one day you can recommend it. That's what I always
Would
say.
I?
Yeah, Zoolander.
Would I recommend Zoolander though? I don't think I would.
Yeah, please don't.
Seems like a waste.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do this one from Big C Baller, who has a sort of an extension to something we talked about earlier a little bit. How do you feel about deceased actors or actresses being used in film after they died, like Carrie Fisher using old footage and CGI, or James Dean where they plan on using full-body CGI? Alternatively, what are your thoughts on deepfakes in film? Is this practice okay, or is it wrong?
It's a little weird, for sure. I don't
It's
want to
certainly
completely
distracting.
write it off if it happens in a way that isn't distracting or weird, but I don't know if I can name a time where that's happened.
It's really, really bad in Rogue One. I think it might be one of the worst things about that movie to me.
Oh, yeah?
Was it Peter Cushing they completely recreate? And it is so weird, and like it just seems like they're flexing their CG ability more than anything else.
Yeah.
That was very irritating to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like there's movies where they just replace the actor and that doesn't seem that bad. Sometimes it can be kind of bad, I guess, but like you never really blame them for replacing the actor. Seems like a weird
In
thing
what-
to like
what
hate
sort
the
of
movie
example?
for. The Oracle in the Matrix. They replaced Katie Holmes in The Dark Knight with Maggie Gyllenhaal, even though she
Yeah.
didn't die. But yeah, there's a few of those. They replaced somebody in Harry Potter, I think.
Yeah, Dumbledore.
Yeah, I don't have a full list with me or anything, but I mean, like that's happened enough times where just it takes a little bit
happens
to
in
get
Game of
used to,
Thrones a lot.
but it can happen.
It happened in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They replaced the mom.
Oh yeah, and then they also did that in That 70s Show. They replaced the
Mhm.
sister. It's weird when it's like a sitcom like that.
Yeah. It's weird in general to just have the same character played by someone else, but
Yeah,
I think it is weirder to have a CGI model of someone.
it depends how crucial they are.
It's not
to
even
the plot,
acting at that
too.
point. Yeah.
Because like if you could just write them out or something, ideally.
Yeah, like I don't envy the situation Disney was put in for when Carrie Fisher passed away. Like that's just shit for everyone, you know? Like
Yeah.
because it's like a major character, you can't just not have them or like kill them in the crawl type thing. Like they have to do something.
Killing them in the crawl wouldn't have been a bad decision, honestly.
Saying like Leia went off to retire.
Also, Leia died. Here's the movie.
That should have been the title of the movie.
The death of Leia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I'm waiting for. Even if it's done well, it just still seems like a little morbid and strange and kind of Orwellian in a way.
Yeah, because it makes you wonder in 50 years' time, are they going to be able to just like make movies with like actor algorithms? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
Brad
They
Pitt
don't even need real
algorithm.
actors. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit more forgivable when it's in like a film franchise where they obviously wrote the character to be performing certain arcs and they needed some sort of way to continue that character in the franchise. I'm a little more bothered by it when it's like Michael Jackson and Tupac holograms perform at Coachella or something like that. It's like, you didn't need to do this. Like, what is this? Who?
Yeah.
They didn't
Yeah.
sign
Yeah,
off
that
on
is
this.
quite weird.
It's like when you sign to a label, you sign away your fucking soul. Jesus.
Yeah, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, it's like a Black Mirror episode or some shit.
Yeah.
I feel like that actually, yeah, there was that Miley Cyrus episode. It was basically the same thing.
Yeah? I gotta like sign something in my will to make sure that when I die, they don't take my face and use it for fucking like in the future. Because I just it's such a weird thought to me.
Good luck.
Like after you're dead, like someone
quite
can just
disturbing.
take your face and like, oh, let's put it on a CGI body, and fucking
Yeah.
you're gonna perform like
yeah,
you're in
like
the movie.
Your family gets the rights to what you look like and what you sound like. You know?
Yeah.
It's really weird.
It's a real Weekend at Bernie's situation. Just puppeteering
Yeah.
his dead body.
I'm not totally against it, but it's just like these actors when they were making Star Wars movies, they didn't know that 50 years down the road, Disney would be making CGI models of them. It's weird.
It is weird.
I think there's no problem if you have permission. It's done in what is it? Rise of Skywalker. Briefly, they de-age Leia and Luke, but
Yeah, they do.
it's not that bad. They probably had permission from both of them.
Was the actress from the original Blade Runner, was she dead by the time 2049 happened? Because that's an
That's
instance
another
I can
weird
think
one.
of, if that, because she was recreated digitally either way, I think. And that's an
Yeah.
instance where it was like, it wasn't done tastelessly. It was more about like the memory to the character sort of thing, plucking on his emotions and to some extent the audiences as well. It didn't seem inappropriate in that.
Also,
film.
it wasn't really her, right? It was like an android version of her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or
the
something.
point. It's like
Yeah.
part of the universe, isn't it? Like recreating.
It wasn't
Also,
like,
I think
hey,
her
I'm
name
back.
is Sean Young. Yeah, I think Sean Young fucking hated Harrison Ford and didn't want to work with him or something, or Ridley Scott or something like that.
Yeah, they had some problems.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, good question. Let's do this one from Cooper_31, who asks, "What's the most disappointing game you've ever played?"
Game.
Disappointing.
Mass Effect
Yeah.
3 is honestly, I know it's the go-to, but that's a really big one for me.
Just the ending.
What was the most disappointing aspect to you?
The conclusion?
Yeah, to me it wasn't. Yeah, it was like that. It didn't. All your choices ultimately didn't really like mean anything.
Yeah, all the save data I transferred from all those games. And then it just fucking like, oh, doesn't really matter. But
It was
they
such
fixed it
an
with the
ambitious
DLC.
idea.
Yeah, they fixed it with the DLC somewhat.
Indoctrination theory, bros. Look it up.
Yeah, that's a famous one.
Do you believe it, Adam?
I choose to.
Yeah, I choose to as well because it is pretty cool.
Yeah. Halo 5 was the first Halo game I didn't actually beat. I think I dipped at level 2. Was when I stopped playing. That was a
pretty awful.
disappointment. Not like I had high expectations, but
Yeah, that was
didn't expect it to be
Halo 4,
that
to be
bad.
fair.
I think it depends on what your expectations are for a game for you to be disappointed by them.
Yeah, because along the same sort of lines, like the original Destiny was like a disappointment to me, being such a Halo fan and a Bungie fan as well. I was really
Yeah, sure.
excited for something like that.
Mhm.
Destiny was
Yeah.
kind of disappointing for me too. I wasn't looking forward to it as much as like you were, but
Hmm.
I picked it up and it was pretty bland. So I stopped playing it after like
It was
8 hours.
extremely bland. They've pulled it round years later somewhat and turned it into
Yeah.
a game, but yeah, it's not really quite what I was after from them, to be honest.
I think a lot of people would probably say Death Stranding, but I think also a lot of
That's an
people
interesting one.
kind of put this this game on an unachievable, unattainable pedestal in terms of
I've
this
been
hype
playing it.
machine. You know,
Yeah.
What do you think?
I actually really like it. I think it's really fun.
how far into
It's
you are?
Hideo Kojima. I'm not too far in. I'm
How many
like-
hours?
well, there's like episodes. There's episodes, so I'm like on episode 5.
Oh, okay. You've gotten
I've met
past
like
the first
Margaret
hump.
Qualley. Yeah, I met Leia Seydoux. Like I met all those people. It's just weird Hideo Kojima bullshit. But the gameplay is actually pretty fun. It's fun
Mhm.
to deliver packages and like it's relaxing.
I'm
And
glad you enjoy
There's a
it.
lot of different ways. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do it. And there's like an escalation too to delivering the packages. Like you start delivering them by hand, but then you get vehicles and you get
Yeah.
zip lines and all kinds of other shit to help you.
Yeah.
So it is fun.
If you enjoy the gameplay, it makes the game a lot better. I think a
Yeah,
lot of people
definitely.
didn't enjoy the gameplay.
And the cutscenes aren't that bad. I acknowledge there's a lot of them, and some of them are fucking weird. Especially with like the sexualization of like there's this scene Leia Seydoux's like in her underwear running around in the rain, and there's like close-ups of her ass. It's fucking hilarious, like how
He did the
like
same
perverted
thing on Metal Gear
Hideo.
Solid 5, didn't he? With
Yeah, he
Quiet,
did that same thing with
character.
that girl. What's her name? Quiet. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like fucking dancing in the rain. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? You want me to watch this cutscene? This is so stupid.
I was actually kind of disappointed by the new and tasty Oddworld remake. I think I mentioned this before.
Yeah, you did, I think.
Yeah. Great video by Matthew Matosis that kind of explains everything for me, so check that out.
Cool. I'm pulling up my Steam now. See if I can find anything.
I'm very rarely disappointed by things because I very rarely have high expectations. So
Dark Souls
as I get
3,
older, I'm with you.
I guess. Dark Souls
Really?
3 I didn't think was great.
yeah.
Not
See,
as
most
good as
people would say
the
Dark
first
Souls 2, I think.
one. Oh
in
yeah,
terms
that
of,
one
like-
too.
Yeah.
Any Dark Souls sequel.
Mm-hmm.
They really just went into Bloodborne and that became the best thing.
Still going through your Steam?
Yeah, I think that's about it.
All
Yeah,
right.
that just about answers the question.
Yeah.
Can do one more?
Sure.
Yeah, let me choose a good one to end on. Let's do this one. From Stephen Schaffer. Adam, I noticed you gave Tom Hooper's The Danish Girl a 7 out of 10, which is considered by many an Oscar bait. The question is, when do you think a movie could be an Oscar bait? I think what they mean is what makes a movie Oscar bait.
I barely remember that movie, honestly.
Yeah, I've
It's
seen
Like,
it.
it's
not
not
like
on
a
my list.
clear-cut line either for like what
It's
is
almost
Oscar
like a
bait.
feeling.
There's
you know?
there's obviously like all these movies are trying to get Oscars because it helps you with your fucking marketing. It's
Yeah.
not like a bad thing, so they're gonna push for it. They're gonna try to get them, but I think the ones that are the worst is like the
Green Book?
Yeah, the uninspired period pieces for me are even worse than like Green Book, like Dark Hours or Darkest Hour, or
Mhm.
like shit
Right.
like that. Just like completely dull, the same template. Fucking take a
Aimed
period,
at 45
take
to
a historical event, and
60-year-olds.
just plug it in. Yeah, like Richard Jewell, that was a fucking bomb. They wanted that to get Oscars probably.
Yeah.
Well, they wanted Cats to get fucking Oscars.
The Oscar-winning short Skin was definitely Oscar bait. Like, you can tell that they made that short being like, the Academy will eat this shit up, and they did.
Which short?
Skin?
Oh, Skin. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was really funny. It was so funny. It just plays into the Academy voters.
Yeah.
It's written for them and nobody else. It's really funny. Yeah, it
Like
really
Green Book.
depends, because you can make something that's like an Oscar movie, even call it Oscar bait, and it can still be a good movie. You just have to have some elements
Sure.
there that
Like King's Speech. Would you
respectable.
call something like that?
Kinda,
I love
yeah.
that movie.
I think so.
yeah, it's still a good
And
movie.
I think it's so well made. Yeah.
That film, Welcome to Marwin, definitely seemed to be trying to go for that kind of thing as well. There's certain genres and certain story aspects and like that tend to swing towards that kind of Oscar bait category in my mind.
Yeah.
Things being like war a lot of the time is very is used for
Mhm.
awards type thing and mental
Yeah.
health, things like that,
A lot
Yeah.
of technical achievements for
It's-
war movies.
It's a
Yeah.
combination of the genre and tone and setting, the actors, and then also on top of that, the time of the year that the film is released. Because when it gets released
Yeah,
in awards
yeah.
season near the end of the year, from November to January, it's pretty much a surefire bet that the studio thinks this is going to win some Oscars, and that's why they have their campaign, and that's why they have this release around this specific time. So it can win an Oscar, and then people can see it in theaters, and it'll still be there right after its big ad at the Oscars, basically.
The worst is when you're watching a trailer for one of these like Oscar bait type movies, and then it says it's coming out in January or February,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh shit, that's not good," because that means it's bad. That means the studio had no faith in it. They didn't want to release it.
That's
Like,
not
unless
necessarily true.
they actually,
Because they didn't want to compete
release
with
it
other
limited.
movies, maybe, also.
Yeah, they release it limited that year. I mean, the ones that come out like in fucking February.
Yeah, maybe.
That's where they dump all the bad ones, like 1517 to Paris, like something like that. Clint Eastwood, he's really been banging out a bunch of bad movies.
Yeah,
He's a little old.
he is old.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I guess that does it for questions.
Yeah.
Cool. Did you say
Thank you.
where people
For
should leave
watching.
their questions?
Yeah, I started the segment with that one.
Shit. Okay. Yeah, if
Do we have
you
a
want to support the
recommendation?
show. Oh, yeah, fuck. Recommendation.
Yeah.
I'm
Do we
out
have
of
a
it.
recommendation?
Thank you. Yeah,
It's
That's
me,
okay.
right?
it
Yeah.
is you.
So this is a movie I've wanted to see for a long time, and I'm pretty sure it's on all of our watch lists. No, I hope it's okay. I pick it. I hope it's easy to find. But Come and See is what I want to watch.
Ooh,
1985
nice.
World War II movie, which
Mhm.
I've always been interested in watching. But again, it's just one of those movies I've never got round to watching. It looks really interesting. Hopefully, it's easy to find.
That's been on my watch list forever too, and I'm assuming that you've been reminded of it recently because there's a new trailer out from Janus Films, which is basically a hint that it will get a Criterion release in the next half a year or something.
Mhm.
Oh right, maybe I should have
Yeah.
waited. Oh, well.
Perhaps, but
Yeah, I didn't know that was happening. To be honest.
oh, that's
Well,
fine.
let's watch it, and then I'll get the Criterion
Yeah.
later.
I'm sure I'll enjoy it enough to see it a second time.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Awesome.
Everybody's been asking
Come
me to
and
see it.
see.
The Safdie brothers tweeted out that it is like one of the scariest movies ever, or something.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems pretty intense.
Yeah. The trailer looked really good. Everybody's been wanting us to talk about it for a while, so
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah. yeah. It looks like did a little search. It looks like it's something I could find pretty easily. Awesome. All right. Thank you for your recommendation. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm hyped.
Can't wait to come and see what Come and See is like. If you don't want to be spoiled for Come and See 1985, then watch it before the next episode. These episodes come out every 2 weeks. If you want to support the show, $2 a month on Sardonicast.com. Sign up for premium. You'll get these episodes early. Also, patreon.com/Sardonicast. Also, we got merch. We'll be recording the next episode pretty early in comparison to when we usually record these episodes. Hopefully we'll have all seen 1917 by then, if possible, because I'm going to be out of town. But so if we don't talk about certain things that you'd expect us to have talked about that would come out before the episode's
That'd
out,
be why.
it's because we recorded it early. But anyway, thank you all for
Mhm.
listening. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh,
It's fun as always.
as always, we're almost at
As
like
always.
2 years or some shit. It's fucking
Uh-huh.
crazy.
Yeah. That went by so quick.
Welcome to the Space Jam. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't play too long because we'll just get copyright
Yeah, because
claimed.
we're gonna get copyright
Yeah.
claim. You can't do it too
You
long.
gotta be
Do like
careful
little
about that.
snippets. Like do play for like a second and then stop it.
Yeah.
Okay, stop. That's it.
Stop.
That's it.
All right.
It's
Thank you,
over,
everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.
See you, everyone.